Good afternoon and welcome to my... You thought I was gonna say it, didn't you? Welcome to my maple woods. How about that? Otherwise known as fill in the blank. All of you guys. Okay, so as promised, I'm going to show you how to tap your tree. Now, first step, watch the first video on maple tree identification. Find your maples. Step number 2, do not whatsoever go to the website tapmytrees.com and follow it, because it is not correct, okay? Now, to be fair, I haven't been to the website in a while, but I had a little snippet pop up when I was doing research on correct tapping techniques, and their website was something like, drill a hole 3 to 4 inches deep into your tree. What? Why don't you just cut your tree right over and slit its throat? I mean, come on, that's insanity. You don't tap, nothing whatsoever did I ever read besides that website that said to tap your trees 3 to 4 inches. The correct depth on tree tapping is 1 to 1.5 inches. Wait, was that right? Yeah, 1 to 1.5 inches deep. Definitely no more than 2. The actual tap should only go in about 1/2 inch, give or take, depending on what size tap you're doing. This is a 3/8 inch drill bit, I believe it is. I can't read it because it's stripped out, but so to prevent yourself from going too deep, you can actually put a chunk of tubing on it. Consequently, the tubing that you're going to use right here will also fit right over your drill bit and stay there. Buy a new drill bit so that you don't have to worry about it going dull super fast, which makes it a pain in the butt. You can resharpen drill bits, but if this is your first time tapping trees, just buy a new one and keep it set aside specifically for trees. I'd recommend sharpening them every year and sterilizing them, because this does go into the tree and you want everything in the tree sterile. As you can see, this one has not been sterilized, but this is just a demonstration, so. Okay, so step 1 is we are actually going to attach our spigots onto our line. These are disposable spigots, and the reason we're using these is because reusing your spigots shortens the amount of syrup that you're going to get from your tree. Now, it sounds crazy, but if you take this spigot and you wash it out and you use it again next year, you will actually get less sap from that tree than you did the first year. Now, it's a gradual decline like this. So every year you continue to use this, you get less and less and less. Actually, it was so bad last year because we reused all of our taps, but we bought 15 new ones, just like this, just 15, just to try it out. And I'm telling you what, these new taps got 2 to 3 times more sap every day than the old taps did. So this tap, I think this was 20 cents. Let's factor in the cost. If you have 50 trees that you're tapping and you're spending 20 cents more, 20 times 50, I can't do math in my head very quickly, so calculate that out. 20 times 50, you'll add up with just a couple of dollars. A couple of dollars versus lots of dollars that you're gonna lose out on maple syrup that you're not getting. So, bite the bullet, buy new taps, just do it. The lines you can reuse. You can flesh these out. I actually run a gun cleaner line through this. A brand new one, never been used, but it's just like a little squeegee thing, and then you drop it through on a rope and you pull it out, and then yeah, so that's how I do it. These are kind of hard to pull out, so you can just cut them off. The lines will get shorter progressively, but so what we do is we have our 5/16 tap, and the line is going to be an inner diameter of 5/16 as well. They do make smaller taps, but this is what we're using. And I think there was a study done recently by Cornell University that stated smaller taps will actually produce more sap than larger taps will. I'll have to go see if I can find it. Check the description in this video. I'll post some links for you guys to look up and research. Now going back to what I said about drilling the hole. First of all, you're going to want to find the sunny side of the tree, which one of my viewers kindly suggested. That works if you have a sunny day, which today works perfect because we do have a sunny day. So this would be the sunny side. But then there's other factors that come into play, like shadows. This part of the tree obviously has a shadow on it. So it's a little tricky. I've read also the southeast side is the best side to tap, but then check out this link by the University of Maine. They say you should not tap within a 2-foot area of the year before. That is really tricky. How on earth would you do that? You would literally have to go all the way around the tree. So then that kind of counteracts the whole idea of tapping only on one side of the tree. I don't know. So like I said, there are a lot of schools of thought on what to do with tapping your tree. Ultimately, you want your tree to survive, so don't kill it by putting a million holes in it. Just tap once and be done. So we have our spacer on here. This is set for 1.5 inches. It might even be like 1 3/4 inches. I don't know. And I usually like to go about waist high. Now typically, when I get ready for a whole series of trees, I go through and I clean all this stuff out. See, this is really dusty. You don't want that in your sap. So this isn't stuff that I'm planning to sell. This is just for my own personal giggles. So normally if I was doing like a commercial line of syrup, I would go through with a whole pile of rags and have one rag that's wet to wipe it out and another rag that's dry to dry it out. So we're gonna set our bucket down. Be aware that if you're setting your bucket in the snow, it will gradually fall. So do not make this line super tight going down to your bucket if there's snow underneath it, because it will fall out. Now our buckets actually have holes, where is it? Right here on the side. As high to the top as you can get without being at the top. The reason is, and you can do yours differently. See, we just stick the end in here. You do want it somewhat tight. There. Just needs to go in like 1 inch or 2. And then you can kind of measure where you want your spout. So, boop, right there to be perfect. Now they say that you should drill it at a slight upward angle to encourage the sap to flow downward. I've read that that's kind of a myth too, but like I said, read the description, check out the links I provide, it'll back it up a little bit more. So, and I actually can't even get in any deeper than that. Now the trees should be flowing today. I don't see a whole lot coming out, just a little drizzle. They recommend that you tap on sunny days so that you don't do damage to the tree. However, again, a lot of big, large facilities tap as early as December. No joke. I've run into people that do tap in December. Or January is another common month. You see how it just kind of went thump? It has a dull thump, thump, thump. It's a dull muffled thump. And that's when you know that you're pretty much done. There goes another crack. So the key with drilling your hole is to maintain as straight of a hole as possible. If you go to side by side like this, you're not gonna have a tight seal around your spigot right here. And I kind of see a little bit of sap coming out, but not a whole lot. Now today, it's probably 35. This sap should be rolling. Last night it got down to about 27. Yesterday, the temperature went from 0 up to 30. That would have been a great day to tap. So, let me get my bucket straight down here. Okay, and yes, my camera is on a tripod today because I don't have a camera guy. So bear with me. Oh, let's see if we can get a close-up of this. Hopefully you can see it in there. Can you see that sap starting to flow? That little tiny drizzle. It should be gushing, honestly. As sunny and as warm as it is today, it should be just gushing. But it's not. But we have the tree here and it has a tap. Now the sap is going to go from the tree. Usually it starts up firing fast in the morning and sometimes picks back up in the afternoon. The trees do not usually flow at night, but I have had them flow at night sometimes. The sap's going to go into here, down the line like a big slide, and bloop into the bucket. Now the reason I don't stick the line in the very top lid of the bucket is because there's a little right here. So as you can see with the snow, if it rains or if it snows, all of that water is going to collect on the top. So if my line is going straight into the top and it's not sealed perfectly, all that water will then drip down into my sap bucket and I will have more water into my sap than sap. Now you could potentially glue the end of your line into the top so that it's completely sealed. That would be okay. But it'd probably be a little bit more of a pain to wash. I don't know. So however you choose to do it, learn from how you do it. There's no right and there's no wrong way. Just make sure everything's clean and sterile. Okay, so let's move on to our next bucket. Oh, hey, look at it. Sorry, my shadow's in the way. I just saw this. I was looking for this earlier. So there's 1 year, there's another year, and then this is this year. Obviously, these were not 2 feet apart at all. And if your tree is small, it's pretty near impossible to do your lines 2 feet apart. So to re-emphasize, do not drill your hole 4 inches deep. 1.5 inches, 1 inch, that's all you need. Just do a little tap and stick it in. Now, it's possible that maybe this tree might need to go a little bit deeper because when you have a bigger tree, the exterior bark is going to be a lot thicker versus a smaller tree where the exterior bark is going to be thinner. So you do need to drill deep enough to get past the bark to the outer layer of wood that spits out the sap. So we're going to go drill a couple other trees and just see what they're up to. And in case you're wondering, this is a black maple. It might be a sugar maple actually. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, these things are a beast to get on. And there's a good reason for it, because some people run high tension lines, which means that this has to stay on, even if it's being pulled super hard. If you're having trouble getting your spigots on the end of your lines, bring them all inside the house, get a pot of water boiling, and just very quickly stick the end into the boiling water for like 3 seconds. Wear gloves because it will be hot. Then it should be soft enough that you can slide the end of your spigot right on and it'll stay. But wear gloves because it's hot. Alright, so we're going to measure this out quick. And we're going to put it right up above here. And this is about where we're going to drill. Yeah, do put your chest into it because you're going to get more straightforward push. This one does look like it's leaking a little bit better. So let me show this to you quick here. If I can catch it. You see that? It's getting ready. Oh, there it goes. There it goes. Yeah, don't worry. It looks like I'm losing a lot, but I'm not. It's just a little tiny driblet. And you can actually stick your mouth in there and suck it out, but I don't recommend that because if you're tapping your trees, you want it to stay sterile again. But if your lines are clean, you can suck it out the bottom of your tap line, and that is good. Just ask my 4-year-old. All right, so we're gonna stick this in. Now the whole idea of this is just to block the hole. It's just an exit point for all of this sap to leak right down in and come all the way down into your bucket. Now if you are tapping silvers or reds, you want to tap a lot sooner than if you're tapping blacks or sugars, because their season is a lot shorter. And let's face it, it costs the same whether you're tapping a silver or you're tapping a red. So you might as well just make the most of it. Now, I would wholeheartedly recommend, these are food grade buckets. Go contact a honey producer or a bakery. Bakery and honey buckets are the best because they don't have any weird off flavors. If anything, they might impart a more sweet flavor to your maple syrup. There are a lot of Amish out here and they do buckets as well. So it's really, really hard to find good food grade buckets. These had onions, hot peppers, beef flavor base, chicken flavor base, anchovy flavor base. Now, the guy that sold them had them washed out and he swore up and down that they would be fine. Well, the buckets did have some strange odors coming from them. That's just the way plastic is. No matter how much you wash it, they just hold scents, they hold flavoring. I didn't notice too much of a difference in the flavoring of our sap, but just for all ends and purposes, look for the ones that have the honey and the frosting in them, and you don't have to worry about it. Or even better, another option that we did our first year is water jugs. If you've ever gone to the store and they sell this water fill-up station, and they've got all these empty water gallons, plastic water jugs next to it, and you just pull off the water jug, you set it up there, you fill it up with water, you leave. Well, did you know that you can actually buy those water jugs and they are 15 cents each? No joke. Ask your local store owner or manager, whoever, say, hey, I'm gonna buy these water jugs, this whole set right here, 50 of them. 15 cents each, will that be cool? And they're like, okay, yeah, I guess you can buy those. You can also order skids of them too. But if you're doing a low-end syrup production, it's a great cheap way to go. Then you can recycle them when you're done. I don't recommend reusing them, they're kind of hard to wash out, but if you have a metal tap or a bigger tap, you can actually hang them right on the tree. 1 gallon isn't going to kill the tree to hold on the side of it. 5 gallons, kind of pushing your luck. Now, I do plan to show you another method of doing maple syrup collection, and that's using a line system. Now, there's 2 different types of line systems you can pick from. You can pick from the cheaper method, which is gravity fed, where it all has a very slight decline, and it goes right down into a big barrel, jug, or basin. Now, that's great if you're working on a hillside. This is actually somewhat of a grade, so it might work here. The downside to that is you have to start kind of high up in the trees and use ladders, because you have to get that gradient just right or your sap is not going to flow down to your bucket or your basin. The other option is a vacuum line system, and just like it sounds, that's actually where they suck the sap right out of the tree. No joke. Now, the benefit of that is you don't have to worry about your lines freezing, you don't have to worry about your lines going bad, syrup doesn't sit, sap doesn't sit in your lines and make it rot. I think overall it's a little more clean of a process. The downside is, of course, it's more expensive. A cheap vacuum system, just for the vacuum pump itself, could run you $2,500 maybe, if you're lucky. More expensive ones, all the way up to $5,000 or more. Now, if you have a lot of trees, it's probably well worth doing. If you have 200 trees, probably not so much. For this area right out here, it's a little dicey because we don't have maples growing everywhere right out here. I mean, right here we've got a couple, and then out there we've got a lot. We have reds and we have silvers down there, and then we have a lot of reds and silvers way down in there. That's a long ways to run line. It really is. And that gets expensive as well. So maple syrup is not a cheap or easy hobby to do. But just like with anything in farming, you have to weigh the costs versus the product versus the time you put in, and try to figure out, why are you producing this? Is it going to be worth it? Are you going to lose money on it? And is there a better way to do it?